Hello, I'm Sid Zacharias.
And I'm Jacqueline Zacharias of Zacharias Horsemanship.
Yes, we'd like to give you an update how our Mustangs are doing for the Fort Worth competition that's coming up.
So we've had these horses 1 month now, so this is going to be like a 4-week summary video, and we're going to show you some of the clips of things that we've been doing out here and talk about some of the things we've been working on.
Yeah, so kind of this stage is the most important thing is kind of, we got past the starting point. Now we're kind of at that stage where if we can just get, 1% better every single day in 100 days, we'll be 100%, better. So that's the most important thing to have is to go from, getting to 0 to 1 is the hardest. Going from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 and 3 to 4 and so forth gets a little easier. So now we're in the second stage and things are definitely beginning to click. So with my particular horse Maximus, getting him to try, getting him to step up, and then cultivating that has been super vital for my horse Maximus. Every horse kind of has their their pros and cons, or the strengths and weaknesses, and my horse has been great for the most part. But with my horse in particular, being very thorough, and just keep in mind that 1%, every day, just getting a little better, really makes my horse. That's how he thinks. That's how he operates. With him, slow is fast. So.
Yeah, I agree 100% with that. And I dealt with that some with my horse, but I can attest to what Sid's saying about his horse Maximus. It's been one of his more challenging ones. It's the longest Mustang. It's taken the longest to get on that one.
Yes.
Of any of the Mustangs you've had and you've done.
Yes.
How many
Most of my Mustangs were on, 2 and 3 days from the wild.
Sometimes a week.
Sometimes
it's
a week.
A long one.
But this particular horse I actually had to take 10 days. And not because he was like really, cinchy or bronky, anything like that. It's just because mentally he just didn't want to really let me in. But by me kind of letting him develop mentally, and what I mean by that, as far as just waiting him out. I know a lot of people talk about that, and they're like, oh, I just want to wait my horse and just give him carrots and just look at him, and magically he's supposed to train himself. No, I had to put the time in, but he was one that I couldn't in the beginning. I couldn't push it on him. I had to let him accept, and like I said, being thorough and slow was fast.
Exactly. So each of our Mustangs kind of dealt with their own set of struggles, but right around week 3, when we were going into week 4 of this competition, was when our horses really started to come around, and I think we saw the biggest progress. So things really, for me, I know that things really started to click, and a lot of things that I'd just been building on slowly up to that point just really started to roll along and accumulate into something really cool. So
yes,
my Mustang Will is doing really well. I'm excited to see where he's going. We've been working on the obstacle course. We've been working on hip control. We've been dragging things around. So it's been really fun to see where they're going. And I'm just super impressed with what Sid's doing with his horse. So
yeah,
we're excited. We still have.
Sometimes we look at each other's horse and we're like, that one's doing really well. And then she looks at mine and goes, well, that one's doing really well. Well, they both have their strong points, and we're pretty excited this year for sure. What's coming up for Fort Worth. So a lot of people tease us, like as a husband and wife team here, like who's the better one and who's that, or is you trying to beat her and she's trying to beat me.
How's the competition between you two? Like.
Well, the reality is we feel like it actually is an advantage. But a lot of people are like, how does that work? Well, a lot of times it actually makes us better because, like what she said, it keeps things in perspective. Like when she's getting something figured out, I'm going right behind her. I'm be like, hey, I gotta, remember to teach my horse to do that, or remember to be extra thorough in that area, whatever. So definitely, that kind of, definitely sharpens each other.
Yeah, for sure. We enjoy the journey. We love competing with each other. So I'm glad to have you on my team.
Good Team Zacharias, here we come.
That's all right. So yeah, like I said, it's been 1 month now, and I have a timer on my phone that counts the days, hours, minutes, down to the competition. And so I've been watching that, and that helps me to stay on track and be like, I really need to push this a little harder. I need to work on this a little bit more. And we have, I think, about 95 days left.
Yeah.
I think so, something like that. It might be a little bit more than that, but it's right around there.
So
a little over 3.
Hours
Yeah. Go ahead. Do you want to know how long? No, I'm kidding. Anyway, so yeah, we'll keep you guys posted. We still have another 3 months left, and so there's a lot of exciting things that are going to be happening. Thank you so much for watching this. We hope you enjoy it.
Yes, thank you.
Hi guys, so I originally had audio recorded into this video, but come to find out, if I'm outside and my body gets between the Bluetooth transmitter and receiver on my microphone, then it cuts out on the audio, gets all choppy, which is really frustrating. So I'm going to do a voiceover on this particular video and invest in a better mic in the future. So when I start out, then I often walk my horse around for quite a while, and I won't show you that for the sake of time. And then I go into some bending exercises here, and there he wanted to dive in a little bit, and so I picked him up and moved him out. And the biggest thing with this exercise is to teach the horse to kind of stay in between my hands and legs and get his body aligned in the direction that I'm asking him to go. Another thing that I'm working on with this exercise at the same time is to ask this horse to soften in the withers so we can start working on collection. And the way I do that is to squeeze my legs and gently pick up on my hands until he softens in the withers and picks up his back. There we go, that's really pretty right there. And then I release. And I just do this over and over again until he gets more and more consistent at it and we start to gain collection. So Will is one of those horses that has a tendency to be way too soft and flexible. And a horse that is too soft, it's almost a bigger problem than having one that's too stiff. Because in order to perform any maneuver correctly, you're going to have alignment and straightness in the horse. And without that, you're not going to be able to make things very cool or get them done very fast. You can usually get them done at a walking speed, say a turnaround or things like that, but once you speed it up, you're going to have a lot of straightness in that horse. And so that's what I'm working on right now, right here, is to ask that horse to drive through himself and push up into the bridle a little bit and pick up his back. So he's moving out a little bit fast right here. And what I'm going to do is to pick up those shoulders and guide them over. I'm going to ask him to pick up and guide over again and again. Not only does this help with his steering, but it also helps to shift the weight to the hindquarters and helps him to pick up the back, and that automatically helps him to slow down without me having to get in the face or pull on him a lot. I spend a lot of time trotting around and just teaching my horses to rate their own speed and get mentally collected so they're not surging faster or slower. Now he's starting to slow down a little bit and get more consistent. I'm going to pick him up and guide him over a little bit. I asked him to come down to a walk there, and he stalled out on me a bit, but that's okay. I don't make too big a deal out of it because I'd rather him be thinking about slowing down than running straight through me. Now I'm going to work on guiding his shoulders over a little bit here, and I just work on these baby steps right here. That's pretty good. And eventually this will build onto our turnaround. So I'm going to ask him to lope off here. And what's happening here is that he's getting a little bit fast and bracy. So instead of asking for him to go through with the departure, because I know his body is not in the correct position to take the departure, I'm going to break him back down here, ask him to soften up, pick up his back, and get mentally relaxed. And then once I feel like he's ready, I'm going to ask for that departure again. So I got the wrong lead here. I'm just going to gently break him back down and push that shoulder to the outside and ask him for that departure again. That's pretty. Now what you don't like to do is make too big a deal out of it if the horse does pick up the wrong lead. Obviously I do try to get the correct lead every time, but if he happens to get the wrong lead, I don't focus on the mistake that he made. Because if you bring anxiety into that maneuver and you try to overcorrect something like lead departure, what I feel like starts to happen is instead of looking for ways they could do the right thing better, they start worrying about the ways that they might give you the wrong answer. So the most important thing is to keep the horse as mentally relaxed as possible. There we go, ask him to slow down a bit. Now he got a little front endy there, so what I'm asking him to do is to pick up his back and his shoulders and walk out of it. And he doesn't want to here. He wants to lock up, so he wants to pick up his back, but he doesn't want to move forward while holding that collection. So right there he did it. There we go. And I don't make too big a deal out of it. I just pick him up, ask him to keep walking, and then move on. So now I'm going to go ahead and ask him to lope up on the other lead. And he's pretty relaxed going this direction. So in the beginning, I don't really worry about how slow or fast my horse pick up the departure. All I'm worried about is that they stay relaxed and that they pick up the correct lead, obviously. Because as time goes on and they get confident about picking up that lead, then they'll start to give me the right answer faster and faster. And that's where those pretty walk to lope departures come from. It's not something that can be rushed or forced. You know, keep picking up and guiding those shoulders over a little bit because he's bowing out on my circle some. So what happened here is that I asked him to slow down and he kind of wanted to just bottom out and fall on his front end a little bit. So I pushed him back up into a trot and asked him to pick his back up. And then from there we went back to a walk and then to a halt. And now here I'm going back to working on our steering exercises. And this really helps to keep a horse mentally relaxed because sometimes when you go to loping them for a while, it can get them a little bit wired. So working on a slow exercise like this really helps to get him mentally relaxed again. These baby steps right here will help build into our turnaround eventually. There we go. So now we're out in the obstacle course, and like a typical Mustang, he kept trying to play in this water instead of walking through it. I wasn't going to include this because it's easy to have the tendency to only want to include the good parts, but he is a green horse after all. There we go. He needs to learn to manage his feet a little bit better. He likes to leap up onto things instead of stepping up there quietly. So we're working on that, but he loves the obstacle course. He loves getting out here and climbing around on things. He's like a little mountain goat, honestly. So we have a lot of fun out here. And with this turn here, I'm not really worried about where the face is. Right now, I'm just worried about the feet going in the correct direction and everything staying straight. Same with this one. This is not a finished turn by any means, but his feet are moving and he has good cadence.
All right, hey guys, we are in week 4, at the end of week 4, with Maximus here. He's doing pretty well. First of all, I want to discuss is we did this on a live mic on Bluetooth, and it kept cutting out, and we had some technical issues. So now I'm doing a voiceover. I hope this works out okay. But so there'll be moments in this video you'll be like, well, what is he talking about? His hands are moving, his head's moving. And it's because I was talking to the camera with the mic on, but it didn't work out for us. Anyways, so here we're working on some steering. I'm working on pushing his shoulders left and right. And so think about a gate. I tell people, think about a gate with no hinges in it. Or I'm sorry, with a hinge with no bend in it. Okay. So think about the gate, how it swings left and how it swings right. It's a very straight gate with just hinges. So when I push this horse to the left and to the right, I'm imagining like I'm riding a gate and the hinges are behind me, which is the hindquarters, and I'm swinging a direction. So that keeps that horse a lot straighter through his body and his rib cage. And that gives you a lot more steering on offense. So we don't like too much bend when we're doing a direction change. So see there, I'm pushing him to the left. See how straight that horse's body is. Okay, we want softness in the neck. We want softness, mentally. And I want to be able to have some softness in the rib cage when asked. But when I'm pushing a horse, I'm using my outside leg, pushing him where I'm going right here to the right. You can see that left leg, pushing him a direction. If I want to bend, I would use my inside leg. So we spend quite a bit of time on this exercise at a walk. It's very important. I do plan to ride him one-handed at the makeover. So it's very important for him to learn how to be pushed around on. So if you always ride two-handed too long, sometimes you can get him too soft. So we're chasing body parts from there. So I like my horses to be very soft, but there's such a thing as having the horse too soft. So now I'm working on haunches in. You can see his right hind, the horse's right hind, reach up underneath himself. Watch again here. Horse's right hind, reach under there, 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 there. That's going to help on your departures, your lead changes, side passing, just overall hind end control. It's a very useful maneuver. It's very important to have on your horse. Straightness is important as well, to be able to line them up and ride straight. So you can move the haunches in, and then when I release those haunches, how straight he'll go. There, now I'm riding straight. So to be able to move that, like I said, to be able to move the horse's hind end, shoulders, and then also be able to ride straight. Those three elements, to be able to break them apart and then realign them, is you'll spend a lot of time doing that, or at least you should be doing a lot of time doing that. So we always talk about duck in the water when we move body parts around. We don't want that horse to be able to, come up and tell on you. You want them to stay soft. So there we're doing a canter departure. He kind of elevated a little bit there, but he definitely, his footwork was correct. Got a little worried there by the camera, rotate to a trot. So when I say the footwork, I'm looking for him to be able to walk and then, minimize the steps at a trot and then canter. Okay, eventually he'll go walk to canter a lot smoother and more confidently. He'll depart a lot smoother. There was a good downward transition, mainly off my seat. At this stage, I'm still doing a lot to canter to walk, canter to stop. Let him settle, then I'll ask him for a nice backup. There's the haunches again. We want to be able to move his haunches left or right. That's going to help for your backing L's or backing figure eights or whatever. So now we're doing some obstacle work here. It's very important to get his confidence up. We're going to have to do a trail class in the preliminaries. We're going to be able to make sure that we can, wherever we point his nose, he walks over, climbs on top of. Most Mustangs are fairly confident horses about obstacles. That's not usually their weakness. Just put the time in and they usually get pretty good about obstacles. I have found most horses that don't do well in obstacles because the trainer has not put the time in as far as on most Mustangs of outside obstacles. It's a different story when you get inside an indoor arena of shadows and on people and all that. That's more of a man cave, and sometimes that can be a little bit more, cause a little bit more worry. So here we just went just showing them steering outside of the arena on the obstacle course that we have here. Trotting over logs, steering left, steering right, going straight. So back to the analogy as I was talking about the duck on the water. When a duck swims, he just uses his feet, and the top of the duck is smooth, and he just floats on top of the water. Underneath the water, where his feet are moving. So think about this horse. Duck on the water. His feet are moving, but I want the top line to be perfectly still. So this is where we're at. Hope you guys enjoy these videos. And thanks for watching. So looking forward to continue our journey with Maximus here.